cooked only twice. There was plenty of food in the kitchen and we had suya. Anyway, that's by the way. So if you have friends who haven't written Plateau, please, Balosegha is the place to be. It's very, very lovely. We'll be talking more about Balosegha much more in the series, but I'll be sharing my screen now so that we can get cracking with the presentation. Okay, so please, can everyone hear me and can you see the screen? I'm not too sure if you can see the screen. But
yes, we can see it.
All right, that's lovely. Okay, so I think we can get moving. So basically, it's just do's and don'ts. How do I fill my GMC registration? I actually asked a lot of questions before I filled my form, but somehow I still made a couple of mistakes that I wouldn't want anyone else to make. So first things first, congratulations on passing your PLAB 1, PLAB 2, and I'm sure there are a few people who are still preparing to write PLAB 2. Congratulations, you're almost there. So first things first, we're going to know basically what is the requirements for an IMG that needs to do or that needs to fill out a GMC registration. So basically you need to have an evidence of your PMQ, evidence of your internship and your medical experience in the last 5 years. And then you need to show some form of demonstration of your knowledge of English and your international passport, basically as a form of ID, and then a certificate of good standing. So basically I've mentioned those as well. So before you even think about filling your GMC registration, you need to have done a couple of things. First things first.
It's flying.
It's flying.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, if I'm going too fast, please let me know and I will slow down. So first things first, you need to have filled out your EPIC PMQ verification. So basically, what that means is that you need to have verified your MBBS degree, and that is usually done by ECFMG. So you need to have done that. I personally did mine after I passed my PLAB 1, because depending on your school, it could take from a couple of weeks to actually 2 to 3 months. So you need to be prepared for that wait, because if you start your GMC registration, you need to have gotten your EPIC verification done and dusted. You also need to have sorted out your certificate of good standing, which is usually for Nigerians, it's gotten from MDCN, but from other countries, it's usually from your medical body that is in charge of registration of your medical license. So usually for Nigerians, once you get to your MDCN portal, the price and how to go about is very easy. You don't need any extra help. You just go to your portal, look for the certificate of good standing, and the price is there. You pay for it, you put in their GMC address, and you get it in no time. I think I got mine in 2 weeks, but a few people actually got theirs in maybe 6 weeks, depending on the traffic at MDCN. And then for those people who did not study in English, those who studied in other languages, you need to translate the document to English, which is actually very important. You can't submit your documents in any other language that's not English language. So moving forward, we have to understand that we have to be as honest as possible while filling the application, because one lie almost always leads to another. So it's okay to leave out some things that are not necessary, which we're going to talk about while we're moving forward. But we should at least try as much as possible to be as honest as we can, so that if there's a need to explain, it wouldn't be much of a problem. So expatiating on the evidence of PMQ, usually this is done via the ECFMG, as all non-medical, non-UK medical qualifications need to be verified independently. And usually this is done by ECFMG. And this costs around $260. I'm not sure if that has changed now, but when I did mine, it cost roughly around $260. You have to ensure that your PMQ shows the exact date that you passed your final exam. It's usually written somewhere in the corner of the PMQ or your MBBS certificate. And if your certificate doesn't have these dates, you need to write to your university to actually confirm your dates in a letter-headed paper, because basically they're going to need that. So the next thing you need to sort out is your evidence of internship. This is where a few people usually have problems. So usually a basic internship is supposed to last 12 months. Sorry?
So there's this particular protocol that I used to speak to your examiner. It's called SBAR approach. So this SBAR approach, you want to tell you want to do a situation background for your doctor. So you want to be like, all right, so I just finished seeing a 70-year-old Mrs. Angela who was rushed in from the nursing home today as a result of confusion or on account of confusion and some difficulty in breathing. I was able to talk to the people at the nursing home, and I was able to gather that so and so has been happening. So that's the situation on ground. Then the background to this could now be that she's currently being managed for.
I think someone's background noise is coming through, so I'm a bit confused.
Is she asking a question or is she?
Yeah, I'm actually confused. I don't know if that's background noise or she's asking a question.
Because she's muted herself now.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so so basically an internship basically supposed to be about 12 months, and you should have at least 3 months in medicine and 3 months in surgery if it lasted between 12 and 18 months. And you should have at least 6 months in medicine and 6 in surgery if it lasted more than 18 months. So a certificate or a letter of completion is very important. I think I had mine, and it should show all the dates and all the specialties you went through in your internship. And usually for internship, they would also count in your approved leaves. So if you're one of those people who did not take any leaves, and maybe that's sort of shorten your time, if you're asked any question, you can just explain to them that yes, it states I maybe spent 11 months, but the extra time was due to unused leave, and this was used as a terminal leave, because GMC approves or allows you to have at least 5 weeks of approved leaves in a 12-month internship role. So basically, you should have completed an internship in a public hospital. These are the things that they look out for, because you can't say you've done an internship in a private hospital. It's most likely going to be questioned. So you should have done that in a public hospital, and at least 3 months in medicine, like I stated earlier, continuously and without interruption, and 3 months in surgery. And it should be under supervision, which is actually very important. So they are going to assume that everything you done under internship has been under supervision. You need a letter from your hospital on a letter-headed paper with the dates and specialties of your practice. Okay, so moving on to your knowledge of English language. Basically, we all know that we need to have at least IELTS or OET, and basically you should. I think right now they're accepting you. When I did mine, I think it was 2 years at the time, but now I think there's an extension where you can use your IELTS for at least up to 3 years.
Hi. Sorry to jump in this way. Someone has his or her hand raised up, and the name is A. I don't know if A has a question or observation. I don't know. Do you want to entertain that now? Tayo, are you okay to entertain it now?
Yeah, that's fine. I can't see the questions because I'm...
Okay, let me say, A, whether a lady or guy, I don't know. You can ask your question, please.
Okay, yes, please. Thank you so much so far. My clarification is with the internship experience, yeah?
Yeah.
So when you're done with internship, there's a form we uploaded to MDCN called Form F. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, can that suffice in place of getting letter-headed paper from your hospital?
Well, usually the most hospitals, I'm not sure if there's any hospital in Nigeria that doesn't give you a certificate of completion of internship. It's actually basic, like they give it to everyone once you're done. So I know there are a few people that usually use this Form F you're talking about, but those are people that have left school for actually a very long time. But for recent graduates, you usually awarded with a certificate of completion. But if you don't have a certificate of completion, GMC usually gives you other options to provide evidence that you completed your internship. So yes, you can use the Form F.
Okay, so for
better. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
just to put it in context, yeah. I have that certificate, but it doesn't state the duration of each rotation.
Exactly.
It just states that this person did from this time to this time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I said the ideal thing is to use the certificate of completion, because usually a certificate of completion states your time, like your start date in each rotation, which is actually easier because from what I've experienced, British people actually like to see what they can understand. And once they can't understand this, they feel there's a lie somewhere. So that's the reason why a certificate of completion of internship, which has all the dates where they can calculate your time, is usually ideal. But in the case where you don't have that, you can use a Form F. It's going to make your explanation longer because they're going to ask you to go back to where you had your internship done and for them to send a letter stating the dates where you were in each rotation. It's actually quite mandatory for them. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can I also just chip this in? I know some of us will have some more questions. Maybe we should allow Tayo to finish this. Not that it's wrong to ask questions now. Maybe, so if you have any questions, just jot it down and we'll have question and answer time at the end of the presentation, okay? I think that might be a better one. Thank you so much. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation so it doesn't break our stream of thought. And yeah, there's actually a session for questions. I'm happy to answer every question you have as long as we still have time. So, so for the evidence of English language, basically it's usually IELTS with an overall score of 7.5 at least, and then it's 7.0 in each domain at least. And then in your OET, you should have written the medicine version with the score of at least B in each domain. And GMC now accepts IELTS for up to 3 years, which is great news. It used to be 2 years. So the next thing you need is your passport. Usually, I think they would ask you to send a scanned page of your passport. It's usually basically just to identify that, yeah, you're actually the person sending the details. And usually an identity check is usually done during your PLAB 2 exams. Once you arrive for your PLAB 2 exams, the first thing you submit is your passport, and then you walk in. So while you're doing your while you're doing your exams, the identity check is actually being done with your passport. So you don't actually have to do a second one. Before now, you'd actually have to go back to GMC with your passport and everything to actually do an identity check. So certificate of good standing is another thing that they request for. So you need to have your certificate of good standing as stated earlier, and from each, you should have gotten one from each medical regulatory body that you're registered with in the last 5 years. So usually for people who studied abroad, and let's say you studied in Ukraine and you're registered in Ukraine, and then you come to Nigeria and you're also registered in Nigeria as well, you have to get a certificate of good standing from both medical bodies, especially if the licensing was done, both of them were done in the last 5 years. But if you've been practicing in Nigeria for maybe 6 years, you don't have to get a certificate of good standing from the previous country. So basically, this will need to be sent directly to the GMC office address, and then a copy will be emailed to you. Now, that copy that's emailed to you is what you need to send over to them while you're doing your GMC registration. And it's usually valid for only 3 months from the time that it's signed. So it's always best to do it just after your PLAB 2 exams, or just after your PLAB 2 exams. I know it's risky, but we all expect to pass our PLAB 2 exams. So once you're done with the exams, before the results are out, you start sorting out your certificate of good standing. So once your results are out, rather, your certificate of good standing should be ready. So you just put in your application. So like I said earlier, you'll be expected to fill in an address when requesting for your certificate of good standing. And it's number 3 Hardman Street, Manchester, M33AW. This can be found in any email gotten from GMC. So this is another place where a lot of people make mistakes. I think I made a mistake here as well while I was filling mine. They will ask you for your activities in the last 5 years. Usually what they want to know, or what they're more interested in, is any gaps in your time in the last 5 years that's more than 28 days has to be accounted for. If you've done any clinical attachments, any observership, it should be noted. If you've been unemployed in the last 5 years, you should note that. Any maternity leaves, any study leaves, any vacations, career breaks. Now, for all the above that I've listed, you actually don't need any form of referencing. You just need to state that, okay, I had maternity leave or had a study leave for 3 months. And that's why there's a gap from here to here. But for when you're doing non-medical work, such as maybe if you worked in a gym, or if you worked with an NGO, which is quite common amongst medical doctors, medical students, you'd actually need to have reference from them, because it's non-medical work and it's actually important. So you need to get reference from them ready, because once you put that in, just expect them to ask for reference. So you need to actually ask for the reference early if you're interested in putting that in. And if you've done any medical work when you have not had a medical registration or license, you also need reference from your employer stating your role and your scope of work. Now, this is where I made my mistake, because basically, when I got out of, when I finished internship, I had, I think 2 months, 3 months gap before I got my full license. And usually MDCN takes a while for them to get their full license, but I actually put in mine early, but it didn't come out early. So I was doing an observership at a private hospital, and I put that in as medical work. So they asked me why I was working without a license, and I had to explain to them that I wasn't exactly working. I was doing an observership, and that took a lot of back and forth between GMC and the said hospital. So thank God I had a good relationship with the said hospital. So they actually had a lot of back and forth emails between GMC and the hospital, which made my registration actually take a while. In my opinion, I would say leave that information out and just tell them you were waiting for your license to come through. It's an acceptable explanation. Once the GMC, on the GMC website, there's a copy of an employer's reference form. Your employers would need to email that directly to the GMC. So for the non-medical work and the medical work, if you feel you still need to put that up as part of your experience, please download the form from the GMC and fill that up early and send that in. It will actually make the process quite much shorter, to be honest. And this paperwork should include date of employment, indicating that you are of good standing and the nature of your work, and it should show your registration requirements for the nature of the work. This is also valid for only 3 months from when they're signed, so you actually have to be proactive about it. So before we move forward, still talking about your activities in the last 5 years, because I've had a couple of people talk to me about this particular segment, because this is where GMC almost always asks questions. If you have a gap of 28 days or less than 28 days, no one is going to ask you any questions, so you don't have to bother about it. But if you have a gap of more than 28 days, up to 3 months, you can actually explain that you took a vacation, which is actually acceptable. GMC is not going to ask you for tickets. GMC is not going to ask you why you took a holiday. You're allowed to rest. So you can actually say, oh, I went for a holiday. If you got married during that period, you can actually say you went on your honeymoon. There's actually a lot of things that you could use to explain your gaps without actually telling a bogus lie. Because once you start to lie, it leads to another. So if you have non-medical work and you don't have access to reference, please leave it out, because it's easier to tell them you were unemployed for 1 year than for you to start chasing around your employers who you probably don't have a good relationship with, because once you've told GMC you were working here, they're not going to take another explanation. Once you start changing your stories, that's where they start thinking you're lying, or probity issues start to come in, and it's not going to look good on you. So please, if you have non-medical work or medical work you are not supposed to be doing, please leave it out and just explain it as a gap. There are a lot of good reasons why you should have a gap, even up to 1 year in your career. So basically, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions about your fitness to practice. And it's actually routine for them to ask about your fitness to practice. They'll just ask you questions about your health, if you have any health condition that should be declared, or if there are any convictions or cautions during your medical practice, or any fixed penalty notices, any actions taken against you by a medical school or employer, or any medical negligence claim or anything of that sort. Basically, they're just questions where you have to tick yes or no, and it's actually quite routine to tick yes where it's applied and tick no where it's applied, because usually they try to do their findings. But I think in most cases, it's actually better to just, no is actually the answer to most of these questions. So it's just routine, click no and move on. So things to note. For every document that's not in English, you have to email a copy of the original document and a photocopy of the original document stamped and signed by the translation service. So like I stated earlier, if your document is not in English, you need to translate it, but you also need to send a copy of the original document that's not in English. And then you need a complete and accurate English translation of the original document. And a translation should be done by a court or counsel appointed translator or reputable commercial service. You can actually find a lot of that online. So about the application, once you've filled out and submitted all of this we've talked about, because it's just going to be a lot of typing of information. So once you've filled out all of this, GMC will then email you a list of documents to send. So you need to send all of it in one PDF file. It's actually quite easy. I think you can download one of these PDF files and just scan everything and put everything in one PDF file. Usually there used to be post options before COVID where you can put everything and send it via post, but now it's no longer an option. Everything is now done via email. So just put everything in one PDF and then send it back to GMC. They will provide the email for you to send the PDF to. And usually you should send this back to GMC within 28 days of getting the email from GMC. If they don't get a response, and the application will be closed after this time. So after you're done with all of this, you then need to pay your GMC fees. So usually you're entitled to a discounted registration fee for newly qualified doctors, and this usually covers from the 1st to 4th year post-graduation. It's called the fixed term discount. All of this is found on the GMC website. All of this information is found on the GMC website. If you do not qualify for the 1st to 4 year post-graduation, because of course there's still quite a few people who apply who have been working for more than 5-6 years, you would most likely qualify for the income discount, because I'm not sure there's any doctor in Nigeria or in most countries in Africa that earn up to £33,000 per annum. So usually you would most likely be eligible for the income discount if you're not eligible for the discounted fixed term discount. Now, you cannot have both the fixed term discount and the income discount. It's actually an either or situation. So it's either you get the fixed term discount or you get the income discount. So the full fee is about £408, but the discounted fee is £157. You don't have to apply for the fixed term discount. It's automatically applied from the information they get from your initial application. So you don't have to do anything to get the discount. Once you put in your information, they know where you fit in. So basically, these are the things you need to send in after you filled in your application. They would ask you to send a scanned copy of your passport with containing the data page and your picture. You'd be asked to send your your primary medical qualification, certificate of good standing, your IELTS or your your OET, and then your evidence of internship completion. So please, please, and please, I'm stating this again, let's try and avoid lying. If you know you're going to have to lie, please just leave out the information. Leaving out the information is not lying. So please, let's not put in things that are not necessary. Then let's avoid the urge to explain so much. Long explanations just leads to a lot of stories. The shorter, the better. Just go straight to the point. When you're filling out your application, please just short, concise, and to the point. You don't need to explain it's not a job application. It's just you just need to get registered. They don't need to know what you do every day. So please, explanation should be to the barest minimum, because there are some ways we might explain things that might actually come off inappropriate when they're reading them. So please, when you're filling out, please straight to the point. Then, very important, I filled out my application in the middle of the night after work. I was exhausted. I was sleepy. I was hungry. I had asked a lot of questions before I filled out my GMC registration, but I still made a mistake that I was warned not to make. That's the funny thing. The mistakes I made were mistakes I was warned about, but I was just too tired and I needed to get this done and do it. And I did it in the middle of the night because I needed to go to work the next day. I was too excited. I had to get it done. So please fill out your application. If possible, do it on a weekend when you're well fed, well rested. You're not too tired. If you've done a night call the night before, please sleep before you go ahead to fill your application, because the mistakes I made, I wasn't even aware I made those mistakes until GMC emailed me back. So please do them when you're well rested. You'd be glad you did when you actually do that. So please don't fill it out when you're tired. Don't fill it out when you're hungry or sleepy. Then very important, now that we're having issues, especially with Nigeria, I'm not sure of other countries. With Nigeria, there are a few issues with limits with how much you can spend on your Naira card. So please, if you can get a dollar card or get someone with a pound card to pay for you, that'll be fine. I couldn't do mine with my Naira card, so a friend of mine paid mine with a pound card, and then I had to pay back somehow. So please, if you need to do this, just get your pound card ready so you don't get frustrated, or you get a dollar card. Usually there are some Nigerian dollar cards you can actually use for all of these payments. So yeah, most of this information, like I said earlier, can be found on the GMC website. I've attached a link. I'm not sure if anyone's going to be able to access it, but everything you need to know is actually on this link. It's actually very easy, well explained, and broken down via this link. So if you still feel like you need extra explanation, you need to see it in writing, it's actually a good thing to actually go through this link. So I think that's everything. It's actually quite easy. It's just requires a lot of patience. Take your time to fill out the registration and you'll be fine. So I think that's it from me. If anyone has any questions, I think
we'll take it from here. First of all, thank you very, 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 very much. Can you stop sharing, Taya? Have you finished yet? Good.
I'm doing that. Sorry.
That's all right. No worries. All right. First of all, again, thank you so much. Can we do one thing quickly like we did before? 10 seconds, 10 seconds, put on your video, your camera, sorry. 10 seconds, put on your camera. 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Clap for Tayo, please. Clap for Tayo, clap for Tayo, clap for Tayo. 10 seconds, please. 10 seconds. Thank you very much. That was world class. World class. I can't even deliver that way, you know. World class. So we've got world class doctor in the building. If you need anything, awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tayo, for taking your time to prepare this. Really, really, really appreciate it. Now, this is question time, and I can see some questions coming in. So this is what we will do. If you have any questions, is type your questions into the chat box. Type in your questions into the chat box. I will read them one after the other to you, Tayo, and you just please ask answering them. First of all, is let's mute everybody so that there won't be any side talk. The first question is from Ayeyemi, I think, yeah. It says, how does one apply for the income discount? Tayo, how does one apply for the income discount?
Okay, for the income discount, usually, like I said earlier, you don't have to apply for the fixed discount for people that have practiced for less than 5 years. But for the income discount, I think usually they ask a question on how much you're earning. So you just need to show like a pay slip. They would ask you, you'd email them, they would ask you for like a pay slip. Of course, everyone has a pay slip, I assume. So they'll ask you for a pay slip, and of course, your pay slip is not going to exceed £1,000 a month.
Go on. Tayo, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So, like I said earlier, for the fixed one, you don't need to apply for people that have practiced for less than 5 years. But for people that have practiced for more than 5 years, you need to, they would ask you, would email them, and then they will ask you to submit a pay slip. Everyone has a pay slip. So I don't think anyone's pay slip should exceed £1,000. This is talking for Nigerian doctors especially. So usually £1,000 times 12 months, that's about £12,000. So either way, you're not going to exceed £33,000. I know quite a few people who have applied for it and actually got it. So it's actually quite easy. It's just a back and forth email. So it's actually quite easy. It's just an email.
Good. Thank you so much. I hope that has answered your question, Ayeyemi. Yeah, I hope that, as I said, it's quite easy. The next person is A. I think A asked earlier, but she's asking again. Concerning the employer reference, do you need one from your current employer for GMC registration? Yeah.
No. If you're doing medical work, as long as you have your permanent license, you don't need references. They really don't care about your references. What they need is to know why you're working when you don't have your permanent license. And they would also want to know if you're actually qualified to do the non-medical work that you are doing. For instance, I have a friend who had who spent some time at a gym. And she's always liked fitness. So she actually spent some time in the gym, and she put that as part of her experience in the last 5 years. And GMC asked her to get some reference and to show if she's qualified to actually work as a gym instructor. So it actually took a while. She had to get some licensing, and like she had to get the paperwork for the licensing, and then had to get a reference. Of course, usually your GMC license usually comes out if there's no hassle, no issues, no questions. Your GMC license should be out in 3 to 4 weeks, but it took couple more weeks for it to be done because of the back and forth. So that's why I said, if you're doing non-medical work, like working in an NGO, which is actually good, just make sure you have a good relationship with them, and just make sure you have a good relationship with them, and then you can get a reference from them and then put it in.
Thank you very much. The next one, to be honest, I don't know if it's a question. Dr. Kennedy. Kennedy, 7 years post-graduation. Is that a question? Kennedy, you're not serious. The next person, OD. The next person is OD. First of all, he or she said, thank you for the detailed presentation. It's been well worth it. Few questions. Number one, are we going to be asked to present an evidence of full MDCN registration, or we just fill in the dates while filling the application?
I'm not sure what they mean by evidence of MDCN registration. But usually they'll just ask you for your dates. It's just a bunch of information. I don't know if it's just a bunch of information you put into the it's a lot of filling out information. You're going to be doing a lot of typing. So they're not going to ask you, I don't know if I'm forgetting, but I don't think they're going to ask you for any evidence. They're just going to fill out a lot of dates and information, and then they will ask you to send in whatever hard copy they want. They will ask you in an email, because things change with time. So they might not have asked a set of people for something, but usually they would ask you, they'll send an email with everything they want from you. So that's it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the next, oh, sorry. Are you still talking?
No, I'm not.
Okay. The next one is, Kennedy now finally asked this question. Good. So, okay, let me take it back. He's not a bushman. He's not a bushman. He's a good man. He's a good man. He says, I am 7 years post-graduation, have only 2 years of clinical work. The rest has been with NGOs. So this is what the question is. Please, what do I do in such situation? Do I make a clinical experience for 5 years to avoid back and forth? Since I won't ask for a reference.
I think I'm going to do like circulatory phase.
Did you get that? So do you want me to read it again, Tyler?
Yes, please.
All right. It says, I have, sorry, let me take it again. Have only 2 years of clinical work. The rest has been with NGOs. Please, what do I do in such situation? Do I make up a clinical experience for the 5 years to avoid back and forth, since I won't be asked for a reference if I put up a medical work? Don't know what.
Okay, I think I understand the question. So you've actually had 2 years of clinical work and 5 years working as an NGO, working with an NGO rather. So in that case, it's actually quite simple. If you're still working with the NGO, I'm assuming you have a good relationship with the NGO. So they're just going to ask you for your reference. You fill the reference form, send it in, and you get your GMC registration. Easy peasy. It's actually not that serious. I know we're all trying to avoid back and forth, but in your case, it's not a big deal. It's just one email asking you for a reference, and you put in the reference. And good thing you're still working there. They're going to give you a glowing reference, and then your GMC registration is going to be put through. Simple. So please just get a reference from your employer.
Thank you very much.
Working with them, so you're actually in a good place.
Thank you very much. Both Noella and Ope are thanking you, Dr. Taiwo, so they say thank you. Ayemi has got another question. For someone who has 4 names, that's surname, first name, and 2 middle names on his identity documentation, passport in brackets, and then has 3 names, surname, first name, and middle name on his medical qualifications, what is the advice on this way forward, please? That's a very good question, actually.
Yeah, it's a good question. Because actually they would ask you why you have 3 names here and 4 names here. So usually it's either of two things. If you have 3 names on your medical license and you have 4 names on your passport, you'd actually need, there's no way, you can't escape it. You'd actually need a letter from your school stating that it's the same person. Mr. ABCD is the same person as Mr. ABC. And they're happy with that. Letter-headed paper stating you are the same person, and they're aware that you have 4 names, but they chose to take 3 names. I think it happened to me as well. That's why I had so many problems. I have 4 names on my passport and I have 3 names on my certificate. And then I asked my school to do an email. It was sent on the same day. So
awesome. Good.
Yeah, so it's just letter-headed paper and it's fine. They'll just tell you what they need the school to tell. British people they try to help. So they'll tell you, please tell your school to send us an email, or they'll tell you to get a letter-headed paper from your school stating that you're one and the same person, and they're aware that you bear 4 names on your passport. Simple.
Awesome. Awesome. So the next one is from A, who asked earlier. She says, thanks though. Between internship and waiting for this, NYC, was about 3 months. Can I say I spent the time with my family like a personal holiday?
Yes. It's good to take a vacation. You can take a break. You decided to take a break between internship and starting your career as a medical doctor. It's actually
awesome. That's straightforward. Akinruli has, he's saying thanks, Dr. Tayo. The next one is Techno Spark, says, how does NYC come in?
I'm not sure what the question is.
I don't know either. Techno, if you want to explain in another question what that, elaborate on this question with that, please. How does NYC come in so that we'll know? Yeah, Samsung says, thank you very much. Kennedy is asking another one again. Can we have a copy of the slide presentation for reference purposes? That's what it's saying. Yeah, so we'll decide on that soon. Noella says, thanks so much, Dr. Tayo, very precise and easy to follow. Good, she's just thanking you. Chika, thank you for the presentation. Question regarding internship, will it be a problem if someone has an extension of 2 weeks for an internship that should have finished in 12 months? Example, started internship May 1st, 2020, finished May 20th, 2021 instead of 1st of May 2021. Would that be a problem?
No, it shouldn't be a problem. Usually, if you've taken all your leaves, right? If you've taken all your leaves, you're actually allowed up to 5 weeks. So you can just explain it as terminal leaves. You're allowed extra time, to be honest. So just tell them it was a terminal leave. Of course, I don't think extension is a thing anymore, but it's actually quite annoying that you have to be extended, but you just explain it as terminal leaves. It shouldn't be a problem.
Good. More people are asking questions, to be honest, so that's good. Noella says, my question concerns reporting experience in an NGO. If you worked in a medical capacity, medical officer in brackets, do you still need a fresh reference?
No, if you're actually doing medical work, I think that's usually, I think that should be seen as working for a private facility. If you're doing medical work and your title was a medical officer, yeah, you don't need extra reference for that. Usually when I say working for an NGO, I mean people that are working as researchers. If you're working as a researcher, it's not medical work, it's non-medical work. So, or you're working as maybe you're gathering data for research. I know it's kind of medical, but it's not seen as medical to them. So for that, you need a reference because they feel as a researcher, you need to have some form of qualifications for it. So you need reference for non-medical work. But if you worked as a medical officer, by all means, you're fine. You can go on with it. Yeah, so it's fine.
Good. OD has another question. If anyone is off clinical work for a year due to relocation with family, how do you impute that in your application easily?
Can you ask the question again?
If anyone is off clinical work for a year due to relocation with family, how do you impute that into your application easily?
Okay. Okay. So basically, it's you were unemployed. It's not your fault you were unemployed. You just tell them you were unemployed at the time. So usually if you have a gap showing on your details, they'll ask you why you didn't do any work in 1 year. So you can actually explain to them that you moved from your country to another country, or you moved from your state to another state, and you were unemployed during that time. And during that time, you were actually searching for a job before you got the job. And that's it. You don't need paperwork to prove unemployment. So you just tell them you were unemployed. It's actually quite straightforward.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Tunde has a question, or two questions. Let me just get them ready. For income discounts, you will not be asked for, oh, it's not a question. You will not be asked for a pay slip. Haven't done this for the last 3 years. System is based on trust. So his advice is just send the finance office an email and the discount will be applied. Easy and straightforward. So that's an advice. It's not a question, sorry.
Yeah. So it's still, like I said earlier, I think it still involves sending an email. Like I said earlier, you just need to send an email and then they'll guide you. I think someone told me about payslip. That's why I mentioned it, because usually before COVID, I think maybe they had the time, but I'm not sure because I didn't need to do the income discount. I was eligible for the other one. But usually it's just to send an email and then you'd get it done, to be honest. Straightforward. So thank you for the extra information. It's very helpful.
Awesome. Priscilla has a question. First of all, she's thanking Dr. Tayo. And then the question is, please, how do you explain not working for about 5 months because you're waiting for full registration? And that's the second question now, and what is the maximum period you can be unemployed for that, that won't raise any issue? So the first question is, how can you explain not working for 5 months because you're waiting for your registration, and for how long can you be unemployed for? Yeah.
Okay. So, like I said earlier, you can't actually control unemployment. It's where you get the work, you get the job. So there's no timeline. There's no agreed timeline. You can be unemployed for 10 years. It's not a problem. There are people that have had 5 years clinical gap, no work. They've decided to take a step back from medicine and take care of their family, especially female doctors, and they still get registered. So there's no timeline for unemployment. What matters is how you explain your time. Just tell them you were unemployed and during this time you were searching for work. It's actually straightforward. They understand that it takes time to get work. I think it took me a couple of months to get my job in the UK, and if I had resigned from my job in Nigeria, I would probably have been unemployed during that time. So it's okay to be unemployed. It's okay to explain that you were unemployed and you were searching for work during that time. So it's fine. 5 months is actually not a long time to be unemployed.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Techno's come back with the NYSC thing. He says NYSC is 1 full year. How do I explain that as part of work?
I think as a doctor, you're expected to work as a doctor during NYSC, because when I was filling my form, I filled my 1 year NYSC as a medical officer. So except you did not do medical work during NYSC, that's when you'd have a bit of a problem explaining that. But usually medical doctors work as medical officers during NYSC. So if you want to rephrase the question to explain better, I think I'll be able to help. But NYC is usually not a problem because we are usually posted to work as medical officers. So it just goes off as our first year of work after internship.
Good. So Samsung has come back and says, thank you once again. What should I write if I haven't practiced in the last 5 years? I have been doing non-clinical work, e.g. researcher. Will this affect my registration?
No, it won't. It won't affect your registration at all. You're allowed to do other things. They just need to know if you were of good standing, because the certificate of good standing you're getting from your MDCN usually covers your medical work. So if you're going to be working outside of medicine, you need to show them that you've also been of good clinical, you've been of good standing. So they need a reference from your employers, and you can get the form, you can download the form ahead of time from GMC and get it filled out. So when they send the email asking you, just send it to them and they'll give you your registration. Usually if they send you an email with an issue and you sort it out immediately, you usually get a response back in like a week, and then you have your GMC registration. So it's really not that bad. That's why I said earlier in my presentation, it's easier to say the truth than to lie. Because when you say the truth, you get a response faster than when you lie. Because when you lie, you can't support it. But if you're working with an NGO, please just get a reference letter if you're in good relationship with them, and you get a registration in a week or 2 at most. So you're fine, trust me. You just need to do the extra work of getting a reference, that's all.
Awesome, thank you so much. And share your email. So IEM is still advising, so can the discounted be applied to the fee already paid? Sorry, can be discounts. Maybe he's trying to say, so can the discount be applied to the fee already paid? I think that's what he's trying to say. Thank you, Dr. Tayo. I think this final question, if while waiting for full registration, you were working in Nigeria, would it make sense to add it to your experience, stating it's a kind of observation ship, or it's better to just leave it out?
Okay. Usually, I understand the question. Okay, so for this case, it's actually a I don't know if I want to call it a two-edged sword. Can either cut for you or cut you. So it depends on how long you've been there, because usually while you're filling the form, there's a space for observership. If you click the observership, it tells you to fill out a form. So if you've done an observership, you need to sign a form for that and then send it in. So if you're happy to do that, that's fine. It doesn't make your registration any harder. So it just depends on your relationship with the hospital. It's not, they're happy for you to do an observership, just fill out the form.
Awesome. Some questions are trickling in. Thank you again, Dr. Tayo. Please, is it important to get another letter of internship completion if the one the hospital gave was addressed to MDCN?
No. You don't have to. They just need to see the hospital letterhead on the paper and then the dates of your internship. They really don't care who it's addressed to, because some people have been giving theirs 5-6 years ago. People were not really writing PLAB then, so it's not a problem.
Awesome. Another question is just coming in from Andre. Thanks, Dr. Tayo. Please, how does one get about getting the Form F? Don't know what Form F is, so you know.
I think that's MDCN, one of the MDCN forms. To be honest, I did not use a Form F, so I don't know. So I think you can get that information on the MDCN website. I think that's the best place if you want to go with a Form F. But it's always better to go with an evidence of completion.
Okay, good. So far, no more questions, but if any comes in, fine. Now, somebody asked, how do I get your email? Not a problem. We just posted it there. It's balosegha@yahoo.com. If you have any question or you need anything based on this, send us an email, okay? In the subject, put Balosegha Series 1 so that we know what you're talking about, yeah? Balosegha Series 1, ask for anything you want. Someone asked them if you could get these slides. We will see what we can do to put things in place as per slide that we can send out, okay? If you need a slide or anything, whatever information after this, send us an email to balosegha@yahoo.com, subject Balosegha Series 1, and then we will be glad to and happy to answer whatever question or assist in one way or the other. Like I said, we all know this is the first series, and that's why it's called Series 1. So there will be other series to take place. No more question is coming so far. Does anybody still have any question in any way, shape, or form? One question open? Sorry, just one more, please.
Hello, Dr. Taiwo.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to type it. Like I just said, probably it's okay. I just answered this question. Okay. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. This has been really, really, really insightful.
All right. Thank you.
So my question is, so if you've been away from clinical practice and you're like the researcher job I mentioned is not in Nigeria, will this affect you? Like you've been away from clinical practice for the past 5 years and you've been doing researcher work for outside Nigeria. Do we have to make sure that we are in Nigeria since that's our primary point of we did our internship? I'm just curious.
No, not at all. You're not working as a medical doctor outside Nigeria, so you don't need to have a medical you're not working with your medical license outside Nigeria. You're working as a researcher.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't need, it's fine. You can work in any country of your choice. There are Nigerians that move to the UK from Saudi Arabia and they practice in Nigeria. So it's good you can practice wherever you are, but the only thing is your job is non-medical. So you just need a reference from your employers. That's fine. They're not going to start checking every country you're coming from. They just need a letter-headed paper. I think there's a form for that on the GMC website. So just check there, download the form, get someone to sign it and fill in the details and send it in and you're fine.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Because I was just scared like they might be asking, so what's your work permit? What's the what's the qualification for work? Okay, yeah, things like that. So that's what I'm just wanting to know.
They actually have a lot of registrations they're doing. So they're not going to sit down on your case and tear it into shreds. They're just going to try and make sense of whatever you're giving them and then move on. As long as you're not a criminal, they're fine with it. Even criminals get registered. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think you'll be fine.
Thank you.
Before any question comes in, we are posting a link on the chat box right now, please. It's a survey. So please go into it and fill the relevant questions there. It's a survey and I'm just posting it right now. Thank you, Noella. You've posted the whole stuff again. Email subject Balosegha Series 1, email address balosegha.com. And no question has come in, but does anybody have another question that wants to actually say it verbally, just like Samsung did? Some people prefer to ask instead of typing. So any questions? Any more for any more? Whilst we're waiting for that, really want to thank you all. At some point we're 47, at least that's what I saw at some point. That is very good. and that is awesome. We really, really honestly appreciate you all for taking out your time out of your very busy schedules to be part of this. Again, Tayo, I cannot thank you enough. That was world class. You know, I've been presenting for years. I've never done it that way. That was superb. I think I need to learn from you, you know, so I'm booking a time to learn from you the skills, the delivery. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Really awesome. So if you want to learn, register through me and pay me, please. Anyway, so thank you so very much. Do we still have any questions about this whole thing? Any question at all? There's no wrong question, so please feel free to ask any question. Awesome. In the absence of none, thank you all very much. Quick announcements. So we in Balosegha have plans to always give back, you know, and this is just one out of the very little way we can. Okay. Yeah, okay, so please fill in the survey. Yeah, that has been posted. So number two, we also plan to have, so this is an education side of it, okay? We also want to do a little bit of little entertainment, as it were. Summer is fast approaching where we can all stay in the garden. So we will be having someday very soon, an evening time out together. All Balosegha that has passed through Balosegha, of course. We will announce to us the time. So it is just like a cocktail setting. Let's meet one another over a drink, snack, music, and some other little things. Of course, hopefully many of us will be available that day. It probably might be on a what's it called? It might be on a Saturday or a bank holiday. We don't know yet, but we will let us know in due course. So if you just keep your ears to the ground, as they say, we would like to do that as well. It's a way of giving back one little way or the other as well. And we'll be 2 years in October. You never know whether it might be Hooded Top we'll give out this time. We don't know yet. Or maybe it's a car. We don't know yet, you know. So just get ready for that. So as we have any or dish out any plans, you know, we will do. So Shaya is in the building. It says drinks and suya. That's good. Please, Shaya, wave. Show your face and wave. For those of you who don't know, Shaya Balogun, wave. Also wave. Say something. Say something. Say something. Say something. Say something.
Hello, everyone.
So that's
sorry, sorry, I missed a bit of it because it's coinciding with the European Pediatric Advanced Life Support. That's why I cannot be at two places at the same time. But I left you in the hands of fantastic Tayo, well presented, and Bobby, who is a world-class anchor. He's done a lot of it. So hopefully the next one, we're planning the next one, and hopefully I'll be there throughout the day. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see your face, Baloni. Okay here.
Hey, my God. Argento. Well done. Same here.
So that's Balogun, aka Baloni. It's wonderful to see him here. He's so busy, like you said. Does anybody have anything to say? You know, question or advice or anything before we wrap up, so that we don't waste your time, because we know that time is golden. Okay, somebody is saying something. IB Vedi, please, I have a question. Sorry, it's coming late. When I was opening my GMC account, I made a mistake in my month of graduation. I filled May instead of June. Will this be a problem? Ooh la la. Tayo in the building, please answer this. Do you think it's going to be a problem? She filled May instead of June. Should she write GMC or what should she do? Please advise. He or she, sorry.
That's quite a difficult question, because to be honest, I can't remember what I filled when I was opening my GMC account. I'm sure I made a mistake because I just wrote whatever I liked and put it in. To be honest, I can't remember, but I think if you feel you made the mistake, just email them and tell them you made a mistake while opening it. I don't think it should be a mistake. It should be a problem, and they would be able to change that for you, because you're going to be submitting your certificate. Your certificate is going to show probably show June. So it shouldn't be a problem. Usually most of these things can be sorted out with just a simple email. So just email GMC customer service, tell them you made a mistake while opening your account and you'd like to change it, and they'll just sort it out for you. It's actually that easy. It's just, it requires you to send an email.
Awesome. So I think that should suffice, to be honest. Send them an email to let them know, and that will go a long way. Okay. And yeah, in the absence of nothing, if you have any questions after now, so she says, he or she saying thank you very much, Taiwo. If you have any questions after now, maybe you remember afterwards, no problem at all. Send us an email, and we will definitely see what we can do from our end and answer that. We don't want to waste your time. We've been on shortly around just before 12, and yeah, so people are saying thank you again. Thank you all for coming. Those who have come, created time out of the, or some of you that have logged in from your office or work, you know, thank you so much. Taiwo, thank you again and again. We will definitely have this on other series 2, 3, 4 till God knows how many. We'll have so many by the grace of God, and we will invite everyone. You might be one of those who might invite. So some of you here, you have passed through and say, come and present for us. So it will be a great honor to have you to do what Taiwo did today. And I'm sure you will smash it just like Taiwo smashed it today. You know, awesome presentation. Very good. So thank you all. In the absence of anything, let's do our 90 seconds again. On your camera, please. On your camera. And let's take it from the top again. Put on your camera, please. Everybody. We're just summoning now 23. So everybody, 23 people. Camera, please. Only 3 of us. Where are the 20 people now? Please put on your camera and wave. Just 3 people. Wave, just wave and say thank you. Bye-bye. Till we meet again. Bye. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk. We'll meet very soon again. Bye for now. Bye for now.